Breaking down the governor's race, the newest poll shows challenger Tom Foley leading the pack. And a race to watch, state treasurer candidate Tim Herbst.
I'm Joe Visconti, and I approve this message.
Plus, Joe Visconti like you've never seen him before. Good Sunday morning, and thanks for joining us here on Decision 2014. I'm George Colley. He's a candidate that most voters say they haven't heard enough about. Joe Visconti, he could be the factor in this year's governor's race. Joe, thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, George.
We're going to get right to the big news of the week, and that was the Q poll that came out. Let's take a look at that. 46% for Tom Foley, 40% for Dan Malloy, 7% for Joe Visconti. Where are you getting these votes from?
With 89% of the public not knowing my name yet, it's from being on the street all summer, getting signatures to be on the ballot. We've been scouring the state. We delivered 10,000 signatures to 169 towns, so we've really been on the street. And I'm so excited about that number because people don't realize without taking taxpayer money, which we haven't done, we live off the land, we've done this grassroots real, and we're going to bring optimism to this race.
Is that enough to win the governor's race?
I think you're going to see some events that haven't happened yet, between debates and just a lot of things that are going to occur in politics with social media. 8 weeks is an eternity today for us to put our ads out strategically on social media, on cable buys, on the things we can afford. And I think you're going to see the major candidates on the left and right go at each other negative, spending your $13 million in tax money for those negative ads, and you're going to be disgusted. And the big thing is I'm afraid that if I wasn't in the race, what we've heard, people weren't coming out. Those polls do not show unlikely voters. And they show like 4-4 voters. I mean, last 4 elections you came out 4 times. So you factor in unlikely voters, and it's a whole new ballgame.
As many votes coming from Democrats as Republicans.
One point more Democrats and Republicans. That's what we heard on the street. They don't want to go to Malloy and they don't want to go to Foley. So we're looking at Tom's numbers in the Q poll at 62% of his support says they just don't like Malloy. They don't really like Foley, but they're voting against Malloy. We're looking to take that vote from Tom.
You mentioned the web ads. We got to look at your new web ad that's coming up. Let's take a look at that right now.
Stop Common Core.
Don't forget to register to vote.
Testing is not learning.
Teachers, please join us to stop Common Core.
I'm Joe Visconti, and I approve this message.
There's a lot of things that we want to ask you about here, but first, you're a skateboarder?
Of course I board. I'm a roofer, I'm a builder, so we climb heights, ladders. It's for me. I would have been in sports if I didn't get directed to construction as a kid.
How many takes did it take? Did you fall at any point?
I did fall. They got it on camera. We're going to put the blooper out. The new boards, I borrowed a kid's board, not my son's, and boy, the wheels he had were just so quick. So we took a spill the first time. We'll put it out in the blooper. People will love it. Thank God the iPhone was in the front pocket, but we did about 9 takes on it. The sun was going down past the Hilton, and we were like, hurry, hurry, hurry. Got to get this in the shop. So it was a lot of fun. The kids definitely are against Common Core. They don't want it. Teachers are coming out with us, signing our petitions. Some of them are a little intimidated to sign or afraid of maybe losing their job. We don't know why. So we're having the kids ask the teachers to join us against this Common Core.
For most of the summer, Jonathan Pelto was the Common Core guy. You were the gun guy that was coming to this race. Pelto's not in the race. Do you think some of those votes you're getting are Pelto supporters? Is he going to be involved in your campaign?
Well, Jonathan and I spoke this morning, and he's giving me a lot of tips from the left. So he's doing his own thing right now, but he definitely agrees with me, and I think you'll see on his blog in a couple of days some of the positions. I've been against Common Core since last year. I called it the education cartel way before Common Core back in West Hartford, and I actually helped organize the first statewide anti-Common Core seminar in Portland, Connecticut back in the wintertime. So this is something on the radar the media's missed. We realize that public education has to be local control. There are some good things in anything, so you can pick out a lot of things in Common Core that could look good. Most of it's being rejected. The kids, stress and anxiety, number one. The way they roll this out and just drop it on the public is the first thing we're hearing from parents and kids.
We're getting an idea of where the issues that matter most to the people. Let's take a look at the numbers that came up from this Q poll. Economy and jobs, government spending, taxes come ahead of education and guns. So let's talk about economy. How are you going to be able to grow the economy here in Connecticut, and how will you be able to create jobs?
The first thing is we're looking at the budget. Here's the budget. We've been working on it for months. We're putting a budget together. Without a budget put out by Malloy or Foley, we'll put one out showing you where we think we have to go. We can't find a way not to have tax increases, and that's what we're working on now. Tom Foley and Governor Malloy aren't asking the unions for any concessions. They're both not going to cut spending. You'll see our next TV ad. They'll talk all about the similarities between them. What does that mean? How do you grow jobs if you don't tell people where they are? With over 50% ready to leave the state if they could, they're not even thinking about voting, and they're not thinking about jobs. They're thinking about jobs somewhere else. So we'll put the budget. This will ground the campaign. It'll make all the other candidates have to pay attention to the real numbers, and the public will then be able to say, okay, we know where we are. We're going to stay here. We're standing our ground, and we will reduce taxes and bureaucratic nightmares to businesses, and this is what we would do. Small businesses they're closing up shop. If they go and they continue to go, we're done. So we have a plan that will be released, and you'll see it, an economic plan as well as a budget. And in that, I know it's kind of dry, numbers are dry versus skateboarding, but we have to have fun. We have to have optimism in the race. We have to have truth and reality of the numbers. Live with it. If we have to have a tax increase because we don't get union concessions, or we can't throw enough good programs overboard that we can't afford anymore, and Democrats and the legislature wouldn't do it, then there's nothing wrong with that if it has to happen. Dan Malloy just was a mean man that would not, and an angry man. I'm sorry to say it, but he's really hard, and his policies were not taken well because they weren't good, but also because of the way he delivered them.
Now, you call yourself a red state Republican. What is that?
I am. Well, red state in Republican Party, even though right now I
Is
think
it Tea Party? Is it Tea Party candidate?
No. I was always part of the Tea Party from the beginning, and that was follow the Constitution. For me, it was the big thing. Follow the Constitution, even with the Second Amendment. But it means that you abide by the Republican national platform, which you follow, which I've done for years. But that doesn't mean the Republican national platform, the way they deliver it in a red state, works in Connecticut. But the platform, I believe, there are more red state, or let's just call them conservatives, or people that don't have any money. They want to. We say that we have more of that in Connecticut.
But if you look at the Republican office that have office holders over the last few years, we have about 30 seconds left. John Rowland, Jody Rell, Rob Simmons in Congress, Chris Shays. Socially moderate, fiscally conservative. Would you say that you kind of abide by that, or are you 100% conservative on all issues?
Well, I'm conservative, but on the social issues, here's my social stance on all social issues. Don't let your newfound civil rights sideswipe my religious freedoms. In other words, government has to be the referee, not the promoter of social issues. And when they step up to the left, as they do in Connecticut, this is where people realize we can live and let live, but don't try to take away what we have. And so I would be there with the social issues, but right now it's all pocketbook issues.
Mr. Visconti, thank you very much. Look forward to having you on as the campaign keeps going.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir.